Peace and love, family. It's your girl, Six the Goddess. And keep in mind, I'm a goddess and I'm sensitive about my shift. So today's subject, I wanted to just kind of talk about what does it mean when someone says that they do not date their own race. I want to really kind of dig into that, all right? Let me start out by saying this. This is not a matter of opinion. This is not a matter of how I feel. It is unnatural for anyone of any racial group to not naturally want to desire a partner that looks like them. This is basic human psychology. It is the way that it goes. Argue with your mom, don't argue with me. Let's lay the ground out there. That is our natural God-given instinct, and that is to preserve culture and due to self-love. When self-love, you naturally want to produce children that also look like you. So let me first say that if you are a person, does not matter the race you're in, whatever race you're in, if you say, I do not date anyone within your own racial group, that is a problem. There is definitely some type of trauma or hatred of self going on within that person. Now, this is where things begin to go left. And this particularly goes left when we are speaking about us as a people. All right. If you are a person and you feel as though you want to date someone who is not your own race, then by all means, you are allowed to do what you feel you want to do. You are a grown adult and we do not pay your bills. And then there's also this other factor of we don't care. Okay? You know, we don't care. Most people, whatever race you are, if you were to stand on a box and announce to your entire racial group that you don't want to date them, I'm pretty sure they would not care. Because the problem I have with this whole announcing that, oh, I don't date black women thing is because it's like nobody, literally nobody, not one soul. And then it's like, I don't date black women. And it's like, oh, no one asked you. Okay, like literally no one cares, but okay. In my opinion, now this is my opinion. Now for me personally, I don't do that. I want my children to look like me. I want to preserve my culture. I do not want to have family functions and have people of other groups in my house, you know, kind of messing up the vibe, bringing green bean casserole, unseasoned chicken. Like that's just not my forte personally. But what I have noticed is that people who date out with someone where, you know, they just happen to kind of start dating this person and happen to kick it off, I notice that they don't participate in the whole, you know, swirl love. Okay, I noticed that they don't slide their interracial badussy smells all over society. I've noticed that interracial couples, that they're not doing it on purpose to like irk anyone or to piss someone off or because of self-hatred. I've noticed that they just kind of be. They just kind of go on about their relationship. They tend to not care what anyone says or thinks about it. They tend to not care about whatever looks they get or comments. They seem to be very focused on one another. So people that don't, you know, and they tend to not proactively come forward and say, I don't date my own race. Okay, it just tends to not go that way. If that is a decision y'all made, y'all happy together, they just go on about their business. So it's particularly interesting when you see people get on the internet, especially when it's one of us, and they get on the internet like, I don't date you, my own kind. There's no way that that is not generated in some type of hatred, because you haven't dated everyone in that race. all race has their pros and cons, their flaws and their good points. So how are you, kind of condemning an entire group that you're a part of? Because 9 times out of 10, whatever issue you have with that group, you're also a part of that issue because you're in that group. Some people argue that race is a social construct, and that's fine. But race is a genetic thing. Okay? Scientists can literally look at a skeleton with no skin on it and can tell you what race that person was when they were alive. Race is a science. Race is a matter of fact and science. Argue with your mama, don't argue with me. Okay? So my thing is, if you sit and say that you do, like, we're going to use the whole, because we hear this so commonly, we're going to use the term of, oh, I don't date black women. See, when I hear a man say, I don't date black women, they're Shaniquas, they're night riders, they're the dark side, I find this particularly interesting when unattractive black men say stuff like this. I find that mighty interesting. And so the part about it that is very peculiar is the condemning of the entire race to uplift another race of women who seem to, be taking a lot of you up through there. So it's very interesting to me how you can have a group of people where their own race, it is such an issue, but the other race that they prefer constantly finesses them and kind of takes them through the wire, yet they don't develop the same energy of, hey, this person outside my race did me dirty. They don't tend to say, well, I'm not going to date their group anymore. They tend to all of a sudden know how to say, no, that was that individual that hurt me or rejected me or disrespected me. It's only within a people's own race where they tend to generally condemn the entire group of people. And then there's this super understanding, super apologetic energy about the groups that you date out to. What needs to happen, because interracial relationships have been happening, they're going to continue happening, and I understand that. What needs to happen is, if you do that, you need to just go do that. We have got to develop some type of code where, regardless of what you decide to do in your bedroom, because that's not our business, that you are not breaking code for your own people. Because what happens is, and this is why I can't, and I'm going to speak for my own race, I don't like when black women get on the internet and say, oh, I don't like black men, or they're defeated, or they're conquered, because essentially what it does is it leaves us vulnerable. Even if you may not be happy with the state of the men that has shaped your reality, then that's fine. You're a human. We all do it in some way, shape, or form. I get it. But what it does is it leaves us very open and vulnerable as women to say we are going to disassociate ourselves from our group of men. And this is dangerous because these other groups of men that you are looking to become a part of will never neglect their own women for you. Do you see what I'm saying? And so you leave yourself for the streets and you leave yourself vulnerable, and it becomes open season on you when you say, I'm not happy with, the group of men that have shaped my reality of my group. So I'm going to just throw the entire group away and be for the streets. What it should be is we make our progress as a people with each other, especially with our history and what we know we have all been through. You work through the problems together as man and woman, as a family, and we progress and we continue to do better. But when we publicly throw each other away, it makes us very weak, very penetrable, and it honestly just makes us look like a joke to other people. So we as a group have to be more cognizant of that and not kind of put us all in bad situations because of our own personal hurt or our own personal issues. So it's the same with brothers. When brothers get on the internet and say, oh, our women ain't no good, we're not with the Shaniqua, we're not with the black girls, you leave your women open to disrespect by other groups. Have you guys ever heard your parents say, I'm the only one that gets to yell at them, or I'm the only one that gets to, because it's like, you know, we're in the family. So when our own men get on the internet and say, you know, that they don't want us or we're not desirable, what you do is you open it up for other groups to speak out against us, to disrespect us. And if you really don't have any, if what you're saying really is not based in any form of hurt, then you definitely should not want to cause harm to the women in your group. The minute that you begin to desire to cause harm, in my opinion, is when we start to have a problem. So let's all stay on code, do what you do, let it stay with you. Be careful of the people in the opposite sex in your racial group that you let in your world, that you let in your circle, that shapes your reality. Because if you're not careful, okay, if you have an entitled attitude where you are getting angry at people within your group because they don't want to date you or be with you or whatever, you have to be careful, because that level of resentment can kind of backfire on your own group as a whole. So, you know, let's stay on code. Let's do a little better. And let's go ahead and just step our game up, okay? I had to get that out, but all right, I'm done. Okay, cool. Bye.